How's it going, guys? Alts have done a bit of a push up overnight, and it does appear that Bitcoin is, at a lower level. And what that means is the Bitcoin dominance has dropped off since then. And the expectation was that if Bitcoin, falls and it's just how it works. When Bitcoin dominance falls, and the price of Bitcoin falls as well. Alts generally stay stable, and within that fall, obviously Bitcoin will bounce at some point, and in that bounce, if alts were stable, the alts start bouncing as well. So I do maintain the posture that I believe alt season is soon, and we're in the sort of makings of that occurring in the not too distant future. And as mentioned in the previous video, we have seen a pivot from the 0.618 region of this range on BTC dominance, and it looks to have been confirmed. And what's tricky about this area is things don't necessarily go up only straight away. And there are a few factors to consider here. Something on Bitcoin that has been signaled not too long ago is called 3 days down. And this is credited to Jason Pizzino. And I do sort of mirror the sentiment that this kind of range doesn't see resolution until, potentially 2 weeks, at least as a midpoint for the actual range itself to bottom out, right? 1 to 2 weeks, and we're in the first week at the moment. 3 days down, meaning 3 consecutive red days. And the last time this was seen was in March of 2024, which led to a 7-month consolidation period. That doesn't mean that we're going to see 7 months of consolidation. And should we see 7 months of consolidation, or like a longer consolidation period, perhaps this cycle does have the legs to push onto the later part of 2025. However, I am of the opinion that this sort of range finalizes within the next month or two, leading into January, and coming out of January, bouncing right into the end of the first quarter. That is my perspective at the moment. Not necessarily going to be true or not, but as it stands, that has been my base case. Since I've made this channel, actually ever since this bull market started. But I've been stating that fact since I've started the channel. Onto the point of what potentially happens next, and to kind of revisit what I spoke about in my previous video. Something that I did mention at the top is here or near area is not the fact that there's any certainty behind what I'm saying, but in order to kind of manage risk, it's important to understand probability and what to do when you're betting with or against what potentially will happen, right? So, as an example, near the top, obviously, people were really bullish at Bitcoin 100K. You can see every part of circled here is the 1618, and as the Tether dominance enters that area, there is generally a pivot, meaning the price of Bitcoin goes down, right? 100% of the time so far. Obviously, the data can, strike out, meaning that this could have continued onwards and made some sort of new trend that's never happened before. But out of the 5 times that I've measured here, or previously the 4 times, it was successful and never bypassing that area again until, I guess, a new sort of base was set up where you can measure the 1618 out from. And what am I trying to say? I guess relating that back to where the price action of Bitcoin is going and why I believe the price of Bitcoin could be still going lower and how that impacts altcoin prices is that whenever there is a rejection or pivot from the box between the yellow and the blue line, the actual tether dominance always, 100% of the time, once again, revisits 1, right? If we're always revisiting 1, that means the price, obviously it's inversely correlated. If this goes to 1, that means people are rotating out of all assets, including Bitcoin, into Tether, right? And once we kind of get to that point, should we feel a little bit more comfortable with putting on a bit of risk, right? With higher risk reward. Obviously, it can still trend all the way down here, but if you are of the opinion that the bull market is going to continue on, expect a bounce here back to 1618. Right. So now we have the Bitcoin chart, right? Out of the other two times, as mentioned prior, here and here, we do revisit 2618, and the drawdown here is around 22% or 23% rather, if you round it up. And it's not uncommon, or it hasn't been uncommon, that we've seen around 22% drawdowns or 20% drawdowns throughout this cycle, and it seems to be the common number for pullbacks before continuation, minus the larger corrections seen from March, which took 7 months to find resolution. Right? So it is definitely not out of the question that we do a 20% pullback, and that would be seen as completely normal within the cycle. And also, it would still be a very much higher, lower high than the one down here. I know, like, a lot of people on leverage, but this would still be like a very good edge case where you can long 2618 and have a stop below 2272, or when a bounce occurs, obviously there's high expected value to long on the right side of the bounce and finding the stop there. And if you get stopped out again, manage the risk accordingly for, let's say, depending on how many units of risk you're putting on, you might be struck out once or twice, right? Until you're wrong. And if you're wrong and it's going lower, there's probably more issues going on, right? Ultimately, that stop loss and ultimate stop out would be that 2272 area. But I guess continuing on, and what does that mean for altcoins, right? And we have seen an altcoin bounce overnight, right? Whilst Bitcoin's price is starting to, go down, which is amazing, I guess, because it's showing that the altcoins have strength and it's pivoting from the correct spot in the BTC dominance. But does that mean, it's up only? And the answer to that is no. And if you observe the previous video on how I compare Tau's price action to that area in the market over, let me go back quickly, here in January 2024, and its reactions to each of these little pumps and dumps on Bitcoin, there's still a decent amount of volatility that can occur before the price action has an opportunity to start breaking up again. And that is often when Bitcoin finds a base or when it starts pumping itself, right? So, why do I draw parallels to the Ethereum chart on the right side and FTM, right? It's because the structure to me is extremely similar in the sense that there is a starting point here. There's a 3-drive impulse that goes up high. All lows in liquidity are taken out, right? There is actually a golden pocket bounce for FTM, right? I don't know if there's a golden pocket bounce here, but there might be. Apologies. Yep, there is one here for Ethereum as well. So it's a very similar structure, right? And generally, yes, it would be nice for us to go straight up. That would be the optimum or optimal situation. However, that's generally not the case, and fractals are never one-to-one, but I guess it unlocks your perspective to what's possible, right? Let's say, for example, right now, Bitcoin sits around its current region of 92 to 94,000, and maybe it comes back down and it pumps up a little bit and then it moves down, right? What does that mean for something like FTM? It might give FTM an opportunity to kind of grind upwards, and then Bitcoin starts to fall towards that mid $80,000 region, which is not a small fall whatsoever. I think it's like an additional 10%, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go back to Bitcoin over here. An additional fall to the mid 80 region is around 10%, right? And how big is this fall on FTM from, say, this supply zone? It's around 20%, right? Alts might react in a bit more of a violent way when that fall happens. However, they never end up taking out the lows like Bitcoin, and therefore where the actual Bitcoin dominance started at doesn't get breached or bounced back up, because Bitcoin is, I guess, decoupled in a way where alts are just stronger, right? But then from that point, at the base of where Bitcoin puts in the lows of the mid 80 region, the market might have some room to go up, and obviously it's never one-to-one. It might actually bump up very quickly from that mid 80 region. So these are some things to consider, and yes, it is exciting to think, oh wow, like the alts are starting to perform well, but there is a real chance that people get trapped here, and there are fears around Bitcoin being, weak, and people saying Bitcoin, oh, I'm not sure to enter the alts yet, and that's how it's designed to be. It's not supposed to be easy. It's something that these bottoms are generally challenging to enter, especially if you're a levered participant and you're going to be pushed around by the market before it actually starts sending off. So I guess course of action would be to, I hate to say rely on, but to see this play out, whereby the tether dominance reaches 1, and then considering to add risk. In the case I'm speaking from the perspective that you have zero trades open. If you have trades open, now you sort of know what to expect moving forward. Potentially, it could, we could definitely take out the alt lows, but that seems to be not what's going to happen from my perspective. I might be wrong, but not financial advice. I've lost my train of thought completely. Okay, so where is this invalidated, right? Wherever this low comes in, right? Like I do believe that Bitcoin might bounce up here, do that, or just go straight down. But wherever this low comes in, you do a measure. But from where we are at the moment, I would really like to see Bitcoin take out the 0.786 level, right? Because there have been so many times in the past where incorrective structures, which we can, identify with the 3 days down and, taking longer to resolve rather than just bouncing straight up. In one instance in 2017, it did resolve after like a straight move down and then just pushing back up, but it's an outlier. You see the rebound zone here. Generally, good trades to take would be a bounce to this region, should it occur. I don't think it does, but a good trade to take would be to short the RZ, which is 0.618 to 0.65, and put a stop above 0.786, because there's always a chance that the price pushes up. Like there's a high likelihood that there are stop hunts on the initial golden pocket or reverse golden pocket or rebound zone, and pivoting from the 0.786. But should the price of Bitcoin, and this is where the USDT D thing is invalidated, would be breaking above and holding daily candle, and obviously a more confirmed candle would be a weekly candle above 0.786. That would be, and from here obviously it would never kind of go down to 1 if Bitcoin's price pushes up, right? That would be the invalidation point. So the actions to take would be wait until Tether dominance goes to 1, which is probably when Bitcoin's like down here somewhere, and then start looking at the altcoin charts for some decent entries, right? Alternatively, if the price goes up here and there's closures above 0.786, time to enter altcoins as well, right? Because I think the BTC dominance is pivoting, and that is going to lead to the appreciation of altcoins, because we've seen a mass appreciation in Bitcoin, and not much of that liquidity has rotated just yet. And you could even say at the moment the actual altcoins holding up is because people are rotating, or larger participants are rotating from Bitcoin into alternative cryptocurrencies, right? At lower levels for higher RR trades on their behalf. And this is something that occurs when, risk is increased. Oh, well, people start risking on more and more. Hopefully that's been helpful, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you'd like to see. Maybe it's price targets in certain alts, but that is my rundown of what's occurring at the moment in the market. Cheers.